Hi, this is Susanna Bowling and the Times Square Beat, and we are with Catherine Bailey at the Friars Club. We're here to discuss her theatrical London career, her brand new movie about Emily Dickinson, A Quiet Passion. We are so excited to be interviewing her. And now, Catherine Bailey. And you flew in from London for this premiere. Can you tell us a little bit about A Quiet Passion?
Certainly. Well, we saw it last night, and it was so moving to see it again. The first time I saw it was at the Berlin Film Festival, but there was something about seeing it in the US that felt really special, because obviously she's sort of America's poet laureate, I guess. She's like your Shakespeare, is how I felt about her. And seeing it the second time last night, her genius is just so apparent. You know, she's such a fantastic poet. But what really struck me in this screening last night was just, it's, without giving too much away, it's a very tragic story. But the way Terence has shot it, there's so much hope and mischief and playfulness, both in the film through Terence's voice, he's done the screenplay as well, but also in her poetry. There's so much kind of, I guess there's a levity in it, even though it's often tinged with such tragedy. But yeah, so there was a lot of laughter in the audience, which is a relief, because, you know, actors want to laugh, right? You know, they want to get the crowd going. So yeah, it's basically a biopic of Emily Dickinson, and but with, you know, told in Terence Davies' unique style.
And who do you play?
So I'm playing a character called Miss Vryling Buffam, which is, I'm very relieved I never have to say it, because it sounds, the character says...
Notice I had you say it.
Exactly. Well, we abbreviated her to Miss VB. So she arrives at the Dickinson homestead. She's a friend of Emily's sister, Vinnie. And she is a real character, but Terence Davies has, I think it's safe to say, he's kind of made her slightly more flamboyant and maybe a bit more theatrical than she might have been. So it's an absolute gift of a part. She's very outspoken. She's got views on religion and politics and war, and she isn't afraid of espousing those. And she's very articulate and funny. There's a lot of work with fans and corsets, so it's right up my street. And she sort of comes into Emily's life, and again, I hope without giving too much away here, she, I think, gives Emily a bit of an insight into proto-feminism, maybe she's like an early version of that. But also she learns from Emily as well. And there's a point in the film, there's like a sort of a turning point where in Emily's life, small as her life is, it's based around her own home, people kind of come through and then they depart, and my character is one of those, kind of comes in, causes a bit of a hurricane and then goes. And there's this quite sort of sad emptiness in Emily's life. I think she feels that people come in and then pass on, and that's part of the tragedy of her existence, really, is she sort of takes that all so deeply and so to heart. So they sort of have this amazing relationship, this very quick, amazing sort of friendship, and then it's gone, you know, my character leaves.
So are more of your scenes with Emily, or are they with Jennifer Ehle?
Well, I was lucky in that I had scenes with both of them, and they're both fantastic actresses I've admired for years. You know, as an actress, it's very important to have those role models, to have those women that you look up to, and they were so kind, both in the scenes and off screen as well. There was so much inspiration there for me. So yeah, I sort of arrive as Jennifer Ehle's character's friend, and then strike up this very intense friendship with Cynthia. So that was, you know, most of my scenes with those two, and it's quite rare as a woman to have so many scenes with other women. It's that Bechdel test passing thing where, you know, you get two female characters that talk to each other, not about a man, which is quite rare. Having done a lot of Shakespeare, you find that the classical texts are often about the characters refer to men a lot, whereas this is very much a woman's
Men drive their lives.
Precisely, yeah. So this, I mean, Terence writes such incredible female stories anyway. So yeah, it was just, I got such a thrill out of acting opposite those women. They felt fantastic.
In doing this movie, how does it differ from the characters that you've played before?
Well, that's interesting. I think recently there's been a lot of corsets and costume dramas. So there seems to be a period drama thread going on in my career at the moment.
I can see why. You get compared to Helena Boham, I'm going to say it wrong. Helena Boham Carter, is that how you say her name?
I will take that. That's very kind. Helena Bonham Carter, that would be
Yes.
a very nice.
No, you have
comparison.
like the same kind of hair,
Oh,
the same
great.
kind of shape of face.
Wow, stop.
No,
I'll
in
take that.
talking to you, that like I'm struck with how similar your types are.
Great, okay.
Not types as in quirkiness, because she's quirky. But
She is.
you have that same kind of look, so I can see how you would get cast in period pieces a lot.
Right. Yeah, I think that seems to be the way it's gone. Certainly recently, there's been an awful lot. Certainly on stage, a lot of stuff I've done recently has been, for example, at the Globe, a lot of Shakespeare stuff, and that's often, if it's not set in the Elizabethan period, they'll sort of update it slightly, but it'll still be corsets and sort of, you know. Lately, I've been going up to about the 1940s, and that's it, and nowhere beyond there. But I'm happy with that. That's a really fun thing to be doing, you know, to be sort of really kind of immersing yourself in a different era. It's just such a thrill, you know.
Because you get to forget about that, and now you have to put yourself in a whole nother situation.
Absolutely.
But before that, I'm so excited because we have a really good friend, Pat Addis, who's a producer, and you've done 2 of the shows that she's produced. You did Spring Awakening, but you did the play version, correct?
So yeah, we did a version of Spring Awakening back in, okay, this is giving my age away now, back in 95.
You're looking at that, I don't think that's work.
Thank you. So we were the age of the actual characters.
Wow.
So this was at the Royal Shakespeare Company, and the director, Tim Supple, wanted to cast actors of the age. So the youngest actress was 12, I was 15 at the time, playing Ilsa, and it's, you know, it's heavy subject matter. Wiedekind wrote it in the late 19th century, and it caused a stir then, and it caused a stir when we did it, and then of course when the musical, you know, came to town, that again, people were sort of stunned at how old the story was, you know. So that was remarkable, and that was my first stage job. So that was,
really?
Yeah, over at the Barbican in London. So
Not a good place, not a bad place to start.
Oh, it was fabulous. Yeah, it was very intense and just wonderful. And I just thought, that's it.
What was your background before that?
Right. So I went to a stage school in London. I think it's the oldest stage school in the world. It's called Italia Conti, and it was set up in 1911. And so I went there from the age of 11 right up to the age of 19. And so
so you were allowed to do the play while you were going to school?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so you'd
rare.
have to do, because I did some TV as well, and I was a little younger than that, so you'd have to make sure you got all your academic work, you would have to have a tutor on set, or a tutor, you know, just when you're rehearsing, you'd have somebody to go through like maths and geography with you, and you're going, but I want to go and do the acting stuff. But it was, yeah, it was extraordinary to have that sort of education, you know, because you're straight in there in this adult world and learning on the job, and
one of the best places in the world.
Absolutely, yeah. But yeah, Spring Awakening was sort of the first theatre gig, and it was great. Ted Hughes had done the adaptation, and yeah, it was a very exciting time.
Now, how did you get cast in 39 Steps?
Right, so that was going into audition for Patrick Barlow, who originated it, and I had a friend who'd been in it the previous year, and I went to see her in it and just was dazzled, and I thought, God, if this recasts, I would love to put my hat in the ring for it. And then yeah, it came through as an audition, and you have to audition for all the 3 characters, for Pamela and Annabella and Margaret, so you've got to do Scottish and German, and then that very sort of heightened RP, and I love all that stuff. So it was yeah, that was a case of just, you know, jumping through the hoops and auditioning, and then I was fortunate enough to be in it for, we did quite a long run in the end. It was about 16 months in the West End, yeah, which was just joyful, you know. You get to sort of live that West End life, which I imagine is similar to how it would be doing a play on Broadway, I guess. You know, you get that kind
Do
of...
you do 8 performances a week?
Yeah.
Now, you also started a theatre company.
I did, yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Right, so the theatre company is called Baz Productions, and it's set up by 3 women who wanted to make the kind of work we felt we weren't seeing. So we liked the idea of telling classical stories, but with at least a 50-50 gender balance. So we make sure we have at least 50% women in the company. There's quite a lot of swapping roles. So, you know, for example, we did a play a couple of years ago called Prophesy, where the character of Helena Troy was played by a man. We just said, well, you know, yeah, because we thought, how do we cast the most beautiful woman in the world? You think, well, we'll get this fantastic actor we know to portray her, and that
That's
worked really
brilliant.
well. Yeah, so the audience then has to bring their imagination, they have to bring their brain to the show, you know. And we've just completed a run down at the Old Vic Tunnels. It's now called the Vaults near Waterloo Station. And that was a reimagining of August Strindberg's play, Dream Play, which is just this fantastically kind of psychedelic, completely bonkers idea of a woman who comes down to earth from above and experiences human suffering. And so we did a version of that in the Vaults, which was a promenade performance, so the audience followed us all around.
Oh, fun.
It was wonderful, and there were the trains rumbling overhead, so it was very, very atmospheric, and to be...
Very immersive.
Very immersive, precisely, and as someone who was on the other side of the desk producing it and being the artistic director, it's a great thing, I think, for an actor to do, because you get to feel empowered in that way. You get to make decisions.
Well, you're also seeing the business side of it, which a lot of actors think, oh, yay, and they miss out on that, and it's an important thing to incorporate.
100%. I think they both inform each other.
Absolutely.
You get to see, certainly seeing the other side of casting is really useful. It's very sort of, you realise actually, you know, casting is often about the alchemy of who's in the room at the same time, you know, because I think as an actor you can certainly take it to heart if you don't get a part in something, but if you're on the other side you go, it's not because, I mean, everyone who comes in is good generally, you know.
I was on the acting side at one point, and and then I went to the casting side of it, and then now a newspaper. And it's true, you know, when you're an actor, everything is to heart, and when you're on the casting side, you're like, oh, now I get the 5-minute, okay, thanks. Because it's just not right. It's not the right look, it's not the right, it has nothing to do with you.
Exactly, that's the thing I learned. It's sort of nothing to do with you. It's slightly out of your hands, which is really reassuring on both sides, you know.
Yes and no. Because then you don't know, like I was always somebody that wanted to know, well, what do I need to do?
Yeah, and it's kind of nice to just let it go a bit, you know.
Now, what's the next production that your company is going to do you know?
Well, we finished on Saturday, so we're regrouping, decompressing. We were lucky to get some funding from the Arts Council, so there's a lot of evaluations that need to happen now, a lot of the business side. And then there'll be, I think, a short break, or a couple of weeks or so, we'll get our heads together and just, decompress really. And then we've got a couple of ideas, but I don't know if I can say what they are, because the girls, one of our artistic directors just had a baby, and the other one I think is just, getting her head together. So we're going to have a couple of meetings. We've got some ideas kicking around, so it'll be soon, hopefully.
If you had to choose a role that you could take on, that someone would cast you in, what would you like to play?
Oh my goodness. Okay, this might sound obvious and not obvious, but I got to play Hamlet a couple of years ago with a theatre company called The Factory, it was like a pop-up theatre company that performed all across London, and we did some random shows at the Globe Theatre and Hampstead Theatre in London. And I was lucky enough to play Hamlet. That was maybe 6 years ago. And I've seen a few since then, because everyone's having a go at it now and it's very exciting. And I just think, and I've seen there's been a couple of high-profile female performances, and I've just thought I need another crack at that. Wow. So I would love to do that. It's not my obvious casting, but
I have to admit, that would have never come through my head.
It's a curved ball, that one, wasn't it?
No, but it's interesting because Janet Teeter played
Prukia.
Yes,
I saw her. She was exquisite.
Yes, she was.
She's amazing.
Wasn't exactly in love with the production, but she was amazing.
Yes. Was that at the Globe?
It was at the Public.
Oh, I see. Right.
So, and it was very interesting. I mean, she was wonderful. So, yes, I see this whole transgender thing. If guys are going to play our parts, yes, we should play there.
Well, too right. Absolutely. I saw her play that role at the Globe Theatre with Catherine Hunter.
Oh, that's right. She started it there.
Yes, and it was fun. It was an all-female production. It was just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, that was a different. I would have liked to have seen that production here. That production stayed true to the text. This one did not.
Oh, did it? Oh, okay.
And I don't like when Shakespeare is that messed up with.
Sure.
Political correctness is great, but hello, it's Shakespeare.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
So.
Okay.
And what would you like people to take away from this film that you just done?
That's a good question. I would love, only from seeing it last night, I would love that hopefulness and that mischief to be there, because I think it felt suddenly so much like life, really. You know, a lot of things will happen to you in your life, but it's the hope and the levity that makes you human. And I think that was the thing that really struck me, and I would love people to feel that sort of, that kind of levelness with Emily Dickinson's work, and not to be intimidated by the fact that it's poetry, or, you know, but just to get that really, seems to have a way of cutting through and speaking to us from, you know, the 19th century that seems so relevant. And it, for me, last night, it struck me that it was the hope and the levity that gave her that humility somehow. So I hope people will take that away from it, really.
And last question, if you could have anybody know anything about Catherine Bailey, what would you like them to know about you?
I would like them to know, gosh, it's really difficult. Okay, I'd like them to know I'm a feminist.
Perfect way to end.
Oh, brilliant.
Thank you.